At Higher Dimension Church. Before we begin, let's take a moment now to have prayer. So, Father, today we come with a heart filled with gratitude as we celebrate Black history. We come to honor the past, embrace the present, and walk into the future. We honor the sacrifice of those who fought for freedom, justice, and equality. They did that often in the face of adversity. And Lord, as we reflect on the past, remind us that your hand has been guiding every generation. And let the stories of the past inspire us to use our gifts and talents to press forward with faith, knowing our Heavenly Father breaks chains and open doors. We ask today that you bless this program. May it not only be a celebration, but a call to action. Stir our hearts to stand for justice, love one another, and to build a bridge of unity. And remind us that the work is not finished, and the same God who was with our ancestors is still with us today. Let's celebrate those who have gone before us. Well, now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Precinct 4's Director of Media Relations, Cian Rose.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, maybe a little still sleepy out there. Good morning, everyone. That sounds better. I am so excited to be here to welcome you to our annual Black History Month celebration. Thank you all so much for being here as we honor Black history, and in particular, several of our phenomenal young Black leaders who paid me extra to say young. I'm not going to name names, but our phenomenal leaders who will be honored here on the stage. My name is Cian Rhodes, and I have the honor and pleasure of serving as Director of Media Relations and Press Secretary for Harris County Commissioner Lesley Briones. And it is on behalf of Commissioner Briones and the entire Precinct 4 team that we want to extend our gratitude for you being here today. We are so thankful for your presence. And one of the things that makes Black History Month so vital is that it's a celebration of our strength, our ingenuity, and dedication of our forefathers, our foremothers, who are always with us as we continue to move our community and our culture forward here and everywhere across the diaspora. It has never been limited to the past. It's also about the very bright future that we are going towards together. Now, it is my honor to welcome to you our host. Please help me welcome Commissioner Lesley Briones, your Precinct 4 Commissioner.
Thank you so much for being here today. Can we please give it up for Sion Rhodes, the best press secretary in government and anywhere. And can we please give it up for Pastor Johnson and Lady J. Amazing. We are blessed to have your leadership, your service. You inspire me and you inspire all of us. So I'm honored to be here today and so fired up about all of the collaboration we have going on. So thank you so much. And the CC Rider Band, who is enjoying the music? And the food, I hope you're enjoying the food from Creative Cravings Company, a Black-owned business here that we are proud to be supporting. And I'm honored to be here today with our Harris County Clerk, Tanisha Hudspeth, who we will hear from momentarily. A dear, dear partner of mine, and another dear partner of mine, our Houston City Council for District J, Edward Pollard. Let's give it up for Councilmember Pollard. And County Attorney Kristen Menifee, another phenomenal partner, will be here momentarily. We're actually in Harris County Commissioner's Court today, so I had to run here and I will have to run back to keep casting the votes to make sure we're advancing justice here in Harris County. But I just look around this room and I see so many friends, so many leaders, so many true public servants. And we're here today celebrating Black History Month. But it's not just Black History Month. We should be celebrating 365 days a year, always. We should be honoring the triumphs and the accomplishments of all of our Black leaders all year long. And it's moments like this when I think of the past, the sacrifices that we are honoring and celebrating, the achievements we're honoring and celebrating, that we need to celebrate the present and we need to double down on our commitment for the future. So thinking about the past, here in Harris County, we have over 200 years plus of countless Black leaders who have made Harris County what it is today. I'm just going to give you 4 examples. We could be talking about 400, but let us take a moment to honor and celebrate Reverend Jack Yates, the first full-time pastor of Houston's first Black Baptist church, Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. I'm sure many of y'all take great pride in that. Helped organize the creation of Emancipation Park, Houston Academy, now Booker T. Washington High School, and Bethel Baptist Church. He ensured through the church that freemen could learn to buy homes, pay taxes, vote, be self-sustaining. He was a champion of rights and of progress in Harris County. So one more time, let's give it up for Reverend Jack Yates. I know he's listening to us from heaven, so let's be a little louder. But the second example, Hattie Mae White, the first African American to be elected to public office in the great state of Texas. A leader in desegregating HISD and a dedicated educator for decades. Let's let Hattie Mae White hear our joy, our pride. Third example, Barbara Jordan. The first, a fighter, a trailblazer, the first Black woman to be elected to the Texas Senate in the 20th century, the first Black woman to preside over a state legislative body, and the first Black woman to be elected to the United States Congress from a former Confederate state. Let's give it up for the one and only Barbara Jordan. And she used to say, a nation is formed by the willingness of each of us to share in the responsibility for upholding the common good. We honor you today and always, Congresswoman Jordan. And the fourth example, the fourth of 400, Franco Lee. Let's give it up. He was the first African American to serve as a Harris County Commissioner, as a Texas state representative. He was a steadfast advocate for healthcare, parks, community programs, and advancing opportunity and justice. Can we give it up for Franco Lee? And each of these leaders are the fabric of Harris County. Moving from the past to the present, you are the fabric of Harris County. You are the best of what Harris County represents. Today we will hear from our panel members, and I won't go into too much detail because intros will be made in a second. But again, can we thank our host, Pastor Terrance Johnson, Pastor Jay and Lady Jay, thank you. Did y'all know that he started Higher Dimension Church in his mom's living room in 1999 with just 29 members? And now it is one of the leading churches in the United States of America. Let's give it up for Pastor Jay. And the answer, I can't wait to read it, and I need to go to the conference that we're proud to be supporting. Anyone may need to strengthen their marriage. We all need to be learning from Pastor Jay and Lady Jay. So I cannot wait. Congratulations on your 4 children, 29 plus years of marriage, your grandchildren. Thank you. We will be hearing for another present trailblazer, our County Clerk, Tanisha Hudspeth. Again, the first Black woman to oversee the 3rd largest county in the United States of America. Let's give it up. Harris County has over 2.6 million registered voters, and our Clerk Hudspeth has been running successful election after election after election. And Clerk Hudspeth embodies the American dream. Do y'all know that she started at our Harris County Clerk's office in an administrative role and worked her way up with her heart, hustle, and higher standards and was elected by the great people of Harris County? So she's like a sister to me. I adore you, and I'm so proud seeing everything you're doing. We will soon hear from our county attorney, Kristen Menefee. If you want to talk about a fighter for justice, taking on Greg Abbott, the state of Texas, the president, he doesn't back down. We have the best county attorney in the United States of America. So I can't wait to hear from my colleague, Kristen Menefee. He's probably running a little, because we're in Commissioner's Court right now, so he's keeping us out of trouble there. So he'll be here. We definitely need Kristen, that's for sure. And then one of my dearest partners, Councilmember Edward Pollard. I know many of you live in his district, J City. Isn't that brilliant? Have y'all heard of J City and everything he's doing? Creator of J Patrol, fighting to keep our families safer. Thank you, Councilmember Pollard. The community policing, bridging gaps with law enforcement. You fighting for us, for our families, to beautify our communities in the way that we all deserve, and we thank you. Animal welfare. I could go on and on about Councilmember Pollard, but I'm grateful that we share an area, and it is an honor to learn from you. So let's give it up for Councilmember Pollard. And Commissioner Rodney Ellis, who's holding it down at Commissioner's Court as well. Can we give it up for my colleague, Commissioner Ellis? And I'll end briefly about the future. I used to be a teacher, so it's kind of hard for me to stay behind a podium. As I think about the future, as a woman of color, as a mom of 3 little Latinas, as I see what is being done to turn back the clock on our rights, what is being done to try to erase our history, what is being done to try to obliterate diversity, equity, and inclusion, what is being done to our voting rights, our reproductive rights, our economic opportunities. I could keep going and going and going. To our LGBTQ plus community. I am appalled that my little girls have to grow up currently in this version of Texas and this version of the US. We need to be advancing justice, opportunity, and rights, not turning back the clock. And so when I think about Black History Month, I should say Black History 365, as a Latina, I think about the need for us to unite. And there we go, our one and only County Attorney Kristen Menefee. I was saying that you were keeping us out of trouble, Kristen, at court right now, so that's where you were. But as I think about it, there is so much at stake. We need to be learning from our past, not repeating it. We need to be uniting in a way that has never been done before, at a level of strength and unity that has never been done before in our Black and brown communities and in all of our communities, because I believe our equality is intertwined, our opportunity is intertwined, and our futures are deeply, deeply intertwined. So I hope that as we think about the future, together in unity, we can keep championing our common good, our common interest, our country, because this is our country. And so we will take it back, but in the meantime, in our churches, in our homes, in our schools, in our places of work, I hope we can all keep advancing justice and opportunity, because that is the promise of the United States of America. And together we will keep building the more perfect union. So we're honored. I last want to thank my amazing Harris County Precinct 4 team, their heart, hustle, and higher standards. Can you raise your hands, please? They're on the front lines fighting every day so that we keep doing our part. But know that we work for you. We're here to serve you day or night. Call us. And there's so many team members I want to acknowledge, but I do want to acknowledge my amazing Deputy Chief of Staff, Jamal Smith, who like County Attorney Menefee, keeps me in line. So I look forward to many more years of good trouble, together, in unity, in service. So let's raise a glass, because this is our country, and let us together in unity advance opportunity and justice. So, amen. Lady J.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for your leadership. While you go take your photo, we want to acknowledge some of the other leaders who are joining us today, starting with former State Board of Education Trustee Lawrence Allen Jr. Thank you for being here. Judge Shannon Baldwin, Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 4. Harris City Council Member Twyla Carter, at large position 3. Judge Linda Dunson, 309th Family Court. Judge Audrey Lawton Evans, Harris County Civil Court at Law number 1. The Honorable Maria T. Jackson, former judge of the 339th State District Court. The Honorable Frederica Phillips, former judge of the 61st District Court. Harris County Trustee Dr. Preta Van Dibble Stallworth of District 9. Judge Cheryl Elliott Thornton, 164th Civil Court. Judge LaShawn A. Williams, Harris County Civil Court at Law number 3. Harris County Treasurer Dr. Carla Wyatt. We'd also like to acknowledge Andre Marcel Harris, who is District Director for State Representative Ashley Simmons. Also, I want to let you guys know that Harris County Clerk Tanisha Hudspeth's office is here with voter registration. So please, if you have not already taken the opportunity, you can visit their booth. And we also have the team from County Attorney Menefee's office as well here tabling. So please stop by those offices and learn more about all the great work they do. Now, as we transition to our program, we want to introduce you to the moderator for today's event, who you have already heard from, but a little bit about him if you do not already know about Pastor Terrance Johnson. And again, thank you so much for having us here today at Higher Dimension Church. Terrance Johnson is a dedicated pastor, dynamic communicator, and a community leader. As the founder and lead pastor here at Higher Dimension, he has been a driving force in revitalizing underserved areas in Southwest Houston and in the Katy area, working to meet the economic and spiritual needs of those in the community. And Pastor, please join us at this time, and he will be leading this amazing conversation and introduce you to our phenomenal panelists. Take it away.
Thank you so much. All right, can we give it up for Commissioner Lesley Briones? Come on, let's celebrate her. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for taking my calls. Thank you for being there. You have been a great support for me and my family and the church. And so I thank you in a special way for that. All right. Well, I want to take a moment to welcome our amazing panelists who will be joining us on today. And thank you, Cyan, for your support on today. But let's prepare to welcome our panelists today. Harris County Clerk Tanisha Husband. Let's prepare as she come at this particular time. Tanisha is the first. Hold on, can we get a brother to help? Just a brother to help. Yeah, I got to help the sisters. You got your tennis shoes on? Yeah, I'm like, just to stop the whole program to help the sisters. So Tanisha is the first African-American woman to serve as the clerk of Harris County, which is the third largest county in the nation and the largest in Texas. She is a dedicated public servant to the county's resident and has nearly 2 decades of experience in the government leadership. Come on, y'all, let's celebrate Tanisha. Let's welcome to the stage Christian D. Menifee. Amen. Come on. Christian served as Harris County Attorney, which makes him the chief civil lawyer for the largest county in Texas. Elected at just 32 years old, Christian made history as both the youngest person and the first African American to hold this office. Just bad. Come on, just wow. He leads a team of over 300 attorneys and staff representing and serve as Harris County's 60 elected officials, more than 18,000 employees, and nearly 5 million residents. Come on, let's give it up again. Man, we're proud of you. Great job. And finally, we're excited to welcome City Houston Council Member for District J, Edward Pollard, my friend, my brother. Come on, y'all can do better than that. Edward is a proud product of Southwest Houston and has devoted his life to giving back to that community. He's a basketball lover who has recognized as NCAA All-American, man. You All-American? I didn't know that. Come on, I'm gonna have to get you out there because I got a little something. A scholar who attended Thurgood Marshall School of Law and Harvard Business School, and a community advocate who is a kick-started initiative in District J addressing things like police transparency, food insecurity, community policing, and mentorship. These are truly amazing community leaders, and we're honored to hear from them today. Can we give it up again to our panelists? So proud of y'all. So proud of y'all doing an awesome job. It's hard to remodel your life without models. And to see what y'all are doing and what y'all have accomplished for the African American community and everybody, we just thank God in a special way for you. So, y'all ready? All right, let's do it. All right, so this is to all of the panelists. You have 2 minutes to respond. As we celebrate Black History Month, can you share how your experience inspired you to serve as an elected official in the community?
Testing, it's on. Good morning, everyone. So 2 minutes. I'm probably I don't know. Christian kind of compete with me on the long-winded part. First of all, I just want to thank Commissioner Briones and the entire Precinct 4 staff. I thank the community and pastor to you and your church home for inviting us in on this day. And I'm just enlightened by this room full of eager community folks who are doing the work. So thank you. Thank you. So when I think about the experience inspires me to serve as an elected official, I want to give a little bit of perspective here. I'm not only the first Black woman to serve as county clerk in Harris County, but the only Black woman serving as county clerk in all 254 of our counties in the state of Texas. And I don't say that to boast, but when I think about the year we're in, which is 2025, and every time I walk into a room of other fellow county clerks that don't look like me. Now, there's a Black man serving in Dallas County, John Warren. It does challenge me to make sure when I show up in that room that I am vocal, that I am present, and that I'm pushing clerks around this state to move into the 21st century, right? So when I think about my experience and what inspired me, my first inspiration is my mother, who had me at the age of 18 years old, right out of high school, no college education. And I think about the seeds she sowed in me then that I didn't realize would manifest today. I remember being a 5-year-old little girl with pigtails, her holding my hand, walking inside the library to go vote. So think about that. The seeds that my mother and the village that raised me would manifest to being the county clerk to run elections in the 3rd largest county today. Now, I didn't understand that then, but I think about the village of people who raised me, who helped support me, the Upward Bounds, the folks that helped fund me go on the college tours and become who I've come today, my sorority. So many areas of that village has helped to develop me and also encouraged me to run for public office. Now, I know these guys very well, so we know what goes on behind the scenes before you actually make that jump. And for women, especially women of color, you have to ask them a whole lot of times to decide to take the plunge to run for public office. So that influence of the village and knowing how important it is more than ever today for our communities to understand governmental politics, public service, and how that impacts you even more than what's happening in Washington, D.C. It is likely you will meet and come in contact with your county clerk and many local elected officials before you will the President of the United States. And our work is more impactful today. So that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Testing. Good morning. Okay, I want to start with saying Happy Black History Month. Black don't crack. So to the pastor, thank you for being 21 years old for 21 years. I'm Christian Menifee. I'm the county attorney. And, you know, my experience that got me into public service was really my parents. Both of my parents served in the armed forces, you know, for different reasons why they were originally enlisted. But I saw the good that government can provide in your life if you have people at the helm who truly care about people. So growing up, my mom was on WIC. You know, my brother battled a terminal illness, and all of his insurance was covered by the government because of my parents' military. I ended up going to law school using part of my dad's post 9/11 GI Bill. Like every single step in my life, I've seen government be there as kind of a backstop, right? For communities that didn't have that backstop. And so I knew at some point I wanted to get into public service. I didn't know that I'd run for office. I thought I was just going to go be a guy who helped put people in suits in prison, because I was always fascinated by white collar crime and thought that there was, you know, not really a strong set of folks who go into that line of work to try to hold those folks accountable. So I didn't know that I would run for office. And then in 2019, I took issue with something that my predecessor did. And fast forward, I told my wife that, you know, I was thinking about doing it, but I would probably lose. But, you know, for the good of our people, somebody has to stand up and do it. And then eventually I won, by the grace of God. It's one of those things, be careful what you ask for, you know, when the dog catches the car. But, you know, from what I've seen, when you're in a position like this, one of the stresses that I know weighs on me, and I'm sure weighs on them as well, is a couple of years ago, a young boy at a high school, for his Black History Month program, they were all supposed to dress up like influential African Americans, right? And he dressed up as me, right? And
wow.
It just, so that was like incredibly impactful to me, but it reminded me of the weight of being the first, right? And this is something that a few other people can really relate to. When you're the first, you got to work your tail off to make sure that you're not the last. Right, so every day when I come into work with me, I carry him, I carry his classmates, I carry the communities, from Fifth Ward to A-Leaf, all the way across the county, to try to do everything I can to help people, understanding that one of the unique things about being Black is that when you're in a position of prominence, your successes are your community successes, and your failures are also your community's failures.
Good. Wow. That's good. That's powerful.
Well, it is officially 12:01, so good afternoon to you all. I want to give a huge shout out to Commissioner Briones, to Pastor Jay, and everyone who helped put this event together. Happy Black History Month to you all. I grew up in Southwest Houston and went off to Morehouse College and then eventually Thurgood Marshall School of Law. And while I was at Thurgood, I did an internship, and I worked at the state capitol for an entire semester. I worked for a state rep. And I remember one night, it was late, I was upstairs in the House gallery, and I was looking over the banister at the representatives on the floor. And many of them were discussing legislation that affected my community. But I did not see a lot of young people, and I did not see a lot of Black people. But they were discussing issues that were critical to our quality of life. And from that moment on, I said, I don't want to be a spectator. I want to be a part of the discussion. I want to be an influencer. I want to have true impact. And I called my mom and I told her, once I graduate from law school, I'm going to run for public office. And that's what I did. I eventually got elected to the Houston City Council, where I represent District J, which I refer to as J City. And many people from the outside thought there was no way that a Black person could win that district because we don't have any predominantly Black neighborhoods. We're the most diverse area of the city, but there were no neighborhoods that were predominantly Black. And so when I ran, I was the only African American in the race of 8. I was the youngest person. And so many times when I'm knocking on doors, there was a person that did not look like me that was answering the door. But I understood that there's more that unites us that divides us. So instead of looking at our differences, I started really focusing on the things that unite us. And at the city level, it's your core services every single day. That pothole could care less if you're Democrat or Republican, right? Everyone wants their trash picked up on time. No one wants flood waters inside their home. And so I stayed in that lane, and I brought people together with a message of unity, and that's what has gotten me here today.
Yeah, great job, man. That's powerful. Tanisha, you are an excellent example of how people can work in government before being elected to office. Can you talk about the challenges you face and the experience you gain that have helped you along in that journey? And can you do that in 3 minutes?
I can. I told you, I admitted I was the problem person.
Because Edward took some of your, they took some of your time. Yeah.
So when I started working in government, I was a year removed from Texas Southern University after graduating from TSU. Any TSU people in the house? All right. In 2005, I was hired by the county clerk at the time named Beverly Kaufman. She took a chance on this college girl, and I started as an administrative assistant in public affairs of elections. And 6 positions later, a little less than 15 years after that, I was elected county clerk.
Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, obviously, when I started working in county government in 2005, it looked very different than what it looks like today. It was very white male dominated, and the women that were in public office were not very many women of color. So I didn't necessarily have that example, and there were some directors, women of color and things of that nature in positions, but it was very different. And when I think about that journey, I worked and served under 4 county clerks. I was okay with being behind the scenes and being the worker bee and getting the things done. And so the challenges I faced, obviously being a young woman, right? And then a Black young woman, and then daring to run for an office that not only handled all the major records of this county, but to run elections. That's a very hard job that people have no idea about. And for many years, no one really cared who the county clerk was. No one was checking for the county clerk. Nobody had issues as long as those results came in. There was always going to be a winner and a loser, but in the last decade or so, running elections has been at the forefront of not only this county, the state, but the entire country. And so when I think about those challenges, I just list those. Being a woman, being a young woman of color, but I show up into every room and I sit at every table as if I am supposed to be there.
Come on, look at
Yes.
that. Yes, powerful. Christian, thank you so much, man. You know, your support for me and the ministry, so I want to thank you for that support. You have been able to build relationships on the local, state, and federal levels. How have you been able to leverage that work to ensure county government serves all communities regardless of background or income level?
Yeah, you know, I did an interview yesterday where I was asked, there are different types of elected officials out there. You have the folks who are always rah, 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 and then you have the folks who always want to cut a deal. It seems like sometimes you're rah, 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 and sometimes you want to cut a deal. How do you navigate that? And so, you know, in answering that, I was able to kind of think about this question as well. And I think my approach is, if we are in the arena and we are in combat, then it's go time. Right? It's you against me, and I'm doing what I can to get what I can for my community. But there are going to be instances where we're not in that segment, right? There are going to be instances where we're able to collaborate, we're able to work together. And I think that a lot of times in politics, we see a little bit of one or the other, right? We see people who are always trying to fight, always looking to mix it up, and not actually advancing anything. And then we see people who are too often trying to sell their community out in the name of collaboration with other people. So I try to find that happy medium. Since I've been the county attorney, I've been appointed to serve on an EPA board that reports directly to the EPA administrator, although President Trump has a new one in, so we'll see how long I'm doing that. But that has put me on the forefront of working on environmental justice issues, right? Right now, the federal government is, for the first time in the history of the country, and I hope this continues, looking at what it means to consider the cumulative impacts of pollution on any one neighborhood, right? If you go out to Fifth Ward, if you go out to Aldine, there's all kind of neighborhoods that if you go out there, the pollution is way worse out there. And so they have worse health outcomes, they have lower quality of life, they have lower life expectancy. But the government has never really analyzed any of that. And they're doing that right now. And I've been at the forefront of that, serving in my position. My relationship with the state government depends on the day, but on many days, it's filing lawsuits to get them. And I'm very proud of that work. When the state filed Senate Bill 1, which at the time was the most restrictive voting bill passed in the entire country, we filed a lawsuit against the governor to try to get that law off the books because of how important it is for our seniors to have fair access to vote by mail and other measures. So if you want to know how I interact with state government, with city government, with federal government, it depends on the issue. If I wake up in the morning and there's something that's going to stand in the way of the people of Sharpstown and it's an important issue, I'm going to fight on that issue. And if we're friends on that issue, I look forward to be friendly with you. But if you're trying to throw them under the bus, then I look forward to being in hand-to-hand combat with you. So, you know, it depends on the issue, but I think it's important to remember that your constituents have to be centered first, right? It's not about who's on the other side of the table. If I can do work with a Republican legislator, I would do work with a Republican legislator if it means that a neighborhood is going to be protected. So it's less about the person who's on the other side and more about the community that you're serving.
Yeah, so good. Give it up. You know, Edward Pollard, you know, he represents our district. And man, you know, we've had so many meetings and talks and just so many connections. And you've been such a support as well. Your grandfather spent time with Dr. Martin Luther King. Can you tell us more about that and talk about the impact your family has had on your approach to public service?
Well, my grandfather, Reverend Dr. T.J. Jemison, served as Martin Luther King's mentor. And my grandfather organized the first bus boycott in the country. That was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 1953. That was 2 years before the Montgomery bus boycott that Martin Luther King led. My grandfather was able to successfully desegregate the buses in Baton Rouge, and it only took 8 days of that boycott for that to happen. So Martin Luther King noticed, gave my grandfather a call, came down to Baton Rouge, and they spent some time together putting together a strategy and a blueprint for the Montgomery bus boycott. And based on my grandfather's success and it only taking 8 days, Dr. King didn't think this was going to be that tall of a task. But it took over a year, and it was one of the most critical moments of the civil rights movement and got international notoriety. And I'm very proud of my grandfather's legacy. When I think of him, I think of a lot of the unsung heroes that were behind the scenes, that did a lot during the civil rights era that many of us do not know about. I also think about mentorship and how that's very important. No matter who the leader is or the influencer is, someone helped them get to that point. Someone helped open a door, bring them perspective, give them advice, give them encouragement. And so that's the role that many of you all play for us, and the role, Pastor, that you have played for me, and being mentors and advisors to help guide us into the path that we are on now. And the second thing that I learned from my grandfather is you cannot be afraid to step out, speak out, do things that may cause a little commotion, but is in the best interest of your community. And so even on council today, I use my microphone. I don't sit silent. If there are things that I believe are important for my community, things that are important for my constituents, I'm there to represent them. And sometimes that's gonna cause a little dust up, a little tit for tat. But you're not elected to sit there to be quiet. You're there to represent, and that's what I learned from him.
Great job, man. Tanisha, as the third largest county in the country, Harris County has learned how to run efficient, safe elections. What are the most important elements to overseeing that process?
Yes. Well, first I will say that in the county clerk's office, I have about 400 total employees. Half of that, because we do far more than run elections, represents full-time employees in our elections division. So I can't run fair, efficient, and safe elections without acknowledging those employees, if you'll give them a round of applause, because some of them are here today, raise your hand, that do that work. But as I look over the crowd, I see precinct chairs, election judges, Mr. Muhammad, Ruth, John Humphreys, people that work in the community, Miss Reese. You know, when you think about elections, they are your church members, the people that run those elections. They are your community members. They are your neighbors. They are your family members. So elections don't happen in a vacuum with people you don't know. They are simply run by some of our most passionate, caring individuals in our community that just give a care about civic engagement. So there are a lot of things that I do in my role. One is being transparent. Two is working across the aisle with that transparency, walking into every room, no matter what political affiliation you have, and making sure that everybody understands the importance of this, and holding all people accountable. Most of you all know around election time, I'm on the camera quite a bit, and I am not camera shy, to tell the truth. And so, you know, part of that is all of the stakeholders that help us, like the county attorney's office. Whenever I call him, he's wondering, okay, what do I have to protect you from now? But seriously, the county attorney, our commissioner's court, help to fund the very things we need to make sure that elections are efficient, to recruit a program called the CORE program, where individuals who work full-time in other county departments come to volunteer on election night. So it takes thousands of individuals to do that. We follow the law, but we also become very creative and productive and progressive in the ways that we do so. And so I just want to give a picture that I'm not doing all the work on my own. I have an incredible team that chooses to do it with me day and night. They're not paid enough to do it. They stay a lot of time away from their families, but they care about the process. And I know I'm probably picking out some folks in the crowd, but I see you, and I thank you for those who serve as election workers, judges, that do the work, trustee, Stallworth is always saying, what do I need to do? How do I need to activate my community? And I appreciate those stakeholders and making sure that we do it. But it is our job, just not mine.
That's good. Great job. Christian, as we move forward, what are some challenges you foresee working with the federal government?
Yeah, I want to start by saying, y'all, we have the best clerk in the entire state of Texas. I'm telling y'all. They pass laws to make her job more difficult. They try to jam her up. They try to set her up. The whole nine, and she still ran 6 to 8 flawless elections in like 1 year's time. She's fantastic. Okay, so the question is, what do I foresee as some challenges working with the federal government? So everybody got another hour that we can stick around. Look, we have a new administration. We're in a different time right now in this country. The one thing I've been saying throughout the entire Black History Month is it's 2025 and there ain't no Thurgood Marshall coming to save you. You got to wake up every single day and be your own Thurgood Marshall. We need people activated and prepared to do what it takes to protect our communities. Since President Trump got in office, so remember, he won Election Day in November and he wasn't inaugurated until January 20th. We're only a month or so into the Trump administration, and I see people in there who got gray hairs now who didn't have it back before he got elected. A lot has changed, right? As soon as he got into office, issued an unprecedented amount of executive orders. Orders that purport to say it's now illegal to have DEI offices or positions or trainings in the federal government. Orders directing entire agencies to go and try to lay off as many people as they can within their agency. Orders saying that if a kid is born right here in Houston, February 25th, that kid is not a citizen of the United States, turning over 200 years of legal precedent. Orders freezing trillions of dollars in federal funds that flow directly to nonprofits and cities and counties and make their way back into our community. So the challenges I see is every day it's just a new thing. It feels like you're drinking from a fire hydrant, and by the time you figure out how you're going to respond to the last thing, there's already 5 new things that have been thrown at you. So at the county, what we've done is we have a group of folks in the various precinct offices, as well as in my office and our county administration office, that we're just doing the best we can to try to digest this stuff quickly, right? We have a program called Solar for All that we work to get a grant from the EPA, $50 million coming back into Harris County to provide solar energy to underserved communities, right? $250 million. Here's the thing, you clap, but the Trump administration froze the funds. They froze the funds across the entire country. So now we're scrambling, trying to figure out what can be done. There's already been lawsuits filed. I think my general posture is I am more than willing to work with the Trump administration the same way I was willing to work with the Biden administration. But when we worked that hard to get $50 million to come and benefit people in our communities, and you just flick the light off, with the snap of a finger, we're going to take you to court and we're going to do everything we can to get that money back and hold you accountable and protect our communities.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Edward, what type of legacy do you want to leave with your time in office?
Well, there's a motto that we use in J City that says, impact you can feel and change you can see. And so I want people to actually be able to see the change, feel the change, see that the representation and the work of my office actually matters, right? And so on a day-to-day, our biggest priority is constituent services. We want to be responsive to the needs of each community. And when you represent District J, the most diverse area, the most diverse city in America, every single community is different, right? And so you have culture barriers, you have language barriers. We have 75% of our residents live in apartment complexes, right? There are so many different dynamics that make J City very unique. But in that uniqueness and those challenges is what drives me every single day. It's the rewarding part of the job. And for me and my entire office to find ways to be problem solvers. And one of the biggest problems that we have been able to solve is right around the corner from this church. Yeah. In partnership with our commissioner.
Oh, yeah.
In partnership with our commissioner, we found a way to ensure that we brought more public safety, more beautification to the Bissonnette corridor. This has been a notoriously known area for human trafficking, for prostitution, for drug sales. You all have seen it throughout the past couple decades that this stretch of Bissonnette between 59 and Beltway 8 has had tremendous challenges. And we had to be very creative in our approach, working with the church, working with law enforcement, stakeholders, and specifically with the county commissioner. We were able to put in a strategy to curtail those activities. And one of the things that we did was a really out-of-the-box idea, but it actually worked, is working with the residents, working with the business owners. We decided to block and barricade the side streets off of Bissonnette at night. So after work, at night, we would block off side streets, and then we would open them back up in the mornings. What that would do is all of the people that was coming to this area to try to buy sex work, sell drugs, do illegal activity, they would go down those side streets to conduct that activity. But then we cut off the artery. So you were not able to go down those side streets anymore, right? And so the problem then left. We then worked with many of the agencies and nonprofits to try to bring alternatives, support, programs, resources to people who were trapped in a lifestyle that they were trying to get out of, and then work with law enforcement to then prosecute the pimps and the overseers that were causing a lot of this damage. And so when you drive down Bissonnette now, you see a transformed street, and that is really impact you can feel and change that you can see.
Come on, y'all, give it up for our panel. Thank y'all so much for your sacrifice, your service, and I anticipate that y'all gonna continue to do some great, great things for the city of Houston and this country. So I pray God's blessings over y'all. So everyone, that concludes our panel. Can we give it up again? Let's give them a standing ovation just for their service, their sacrifice, their commitment. Thank you once again for your wisdom, your service. If you haven't had a chance yet, after we wrap up, we want to encourage you to go and check out our Black History Month exhibit boards that are in the house today. Those boards have so much amazing information on them about Black contribution to the 8 different musical genres and the Houston local artists who were a part of those movements. Thank you once again so much for joining us today. With that, I want to turn it over to Cian. Come on, give it up for her, y'all.
Thank you so much, Pastor, and thank all of you for being here. I want to also recognize some additional leaders from our community who have joined us. Councilmember Sally Alcorn, thank you for being here. Former trustee with HISD and current Metro board member Holly Flynn Villaseca is here. Thank you so much for being here. Commissioner, as mentioned, had to return to court to do the business that she is doing for all of Harris County families. So she is sorry she cannot be here to close out, but we want you to know that Precinct 4 is here working hard for you every single day. So please reach out to us. We are here to serve you. We want to respond to the needs of our community every single day. So thank you so much for being here. And again, thank you for our fantastic panel, our fantastic moderator. Thank you very much. We have a few tokens of appreciation here. If Rufi will help us present. Thank you again. Let's give it up to our county attorney, Christian Menifee. And of course, the magnificent clerk, Tanisha Hudspeth. We have a token for you coming very soon. It's coming soon. He pitch hit it for us today, so we appreciate you. It's on the way, it's in the mail, we promise. And to our pastor, thank you as well for being here. With that, thank you everyone. Happy Black History Month. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful weekend.